I am Charles Zeller. I am retired from the computer industry. I'm on the board of Progress Texas. I am a supporter because they're great communicators, and I believe clocks keep rotating clockwise. Progress is inevitable, and we might as well work to make progress work. I like Progress Texas because I think government involvement is essential in a rapidly changing, increasingly complex, crowded, interconnected world.
It's Tuesday, May 26, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. Progress Texas amplifies progressive values, leaders, and actions. Through our no-paywall podcasts and digital media, we reach millions of Texans monthly, and that's made possible by folks like you who invest in independent progressive media by Texans for Texans. Huge thanks to John Cotter, Elizabeth Causey, and Kimberly Staffieri for their ongoing sustaining support. Hey, it's election day, and again, we say it all the time, the most important election of our lives. Certainly feels true in reference to this November, and over the next few hours, the battle lines in the 2026 midterm election will finally be drawn as Election Day and the 2026 primary runoff arrives. Only about 4% of registered voters in Texas have taken advantage of early voting, a predictable but still disappointing dip for these runoffs that emerged from a record high turnout for the March primary, but that were also squeezed between the Memorial Day holiday and graduation season. Excuses, right? Primaries tend to be the domain of the most activist and engaged voters, and that effect is multiplied for primary runoffs. In a low turnout environment, each of those votes carries a ton of influence. For Texas Republicans, that effectively shifts power to their most radically rightward wing. And in a state where the deck is perennially stacked for Republican advantage, that's a lot of power for the fringiest of the fringe. Robert Yoon at the Associated Press says that in contrast to March, Republican turnout has far outpaced that of the Democrats in the runoff, sitting as Tuesday dawns at roughly 850,000 early GOP voters compared to a paltry 262,000 Democratic ballots cast in the runoff. Not super surprising, considering that the marquee matchup this time is decidedly in the red column. Cornyn v. Paxton very much eating up a lot of the news bandwidth this morning. But to bring this into focus, 2.2 million Republicans voted in March. So they're on track to cover about half of that in the runoff, which is pretty strong. For the Democrats, with Tallarico v. Crockett decided, their 2.3 million voter turnout in March has seen only about a tenth of that interest in early runoff voting, with key matchups still in play from lieutenant governor to attorney general to several congressional nominations still undecided. The power of the headlining races and sharp evidence on the Democratic side. But there's still a chance today. Progress Texas has made several endorsements in these key runoff matchups, and you can see all of that at progresstexas.org. Anna Commander at Newsweek covers the final Qantas Insights poll on the John Cornyn-Ken Paxton battle as Drop Dead Day arrives, and it has Paxton leading Cornyn by nearly 10 points, sitting at 52.7% for Paxton to Cornyn's 43.4%, a significant and dramatic widening of the gap that's tempting to attribute directly to Donald Trump's late-stage endorsement of Paxton last week. We make fun of Republican electeds and candidates kowtowing to the Donald, but this sense of personal loyalty clearly percolates through the right flank in Texas all the way down to the individual voter. Both Cornyn and Paxton have kept the pedal to the metal over these closing hours. More AP reporting from Thomas Beaumont and Jesse Bedane, who say that somewhere in the neighborhood of $109 million have been spent in the GOP Senate slugfest, clearly deepening divides among an already fractured party. Curiously, neither Cornyn nor Paxton were anywhere to be seen personally on the campaign trail among their potential voters in Texas yesterday, apparently relying on their digital and TV investments to do the hard work on a holiday, and much of that content was focused on snuggling up to Trump or perhaps hating on Muslim Texans, which we'll get to. Not much here at all about the price of eggs or pain at the pump. Paxton is basking in his Trump endorsement, while Cornyn desperately crows that he's voted with Donald Trump 99.3% of the time. That 0.7% of difference apparently plenty to render him a traitor to the MAGA masses who demand what they themselves deliver, total and mindless personal subservience. The primary concern for Texas Republicans is compliance and conformity. Making life better for Texans is a complete afterthought at best. The persistent fixation on Trump by these candidates and many of these runoff voters through the lens of Trump's most recent approval numbers illustrates just how wide the gap has become between those who continue sipping the Kool-Aid and those who have noticed that the train has left the tracks. and demonstrates the strength of the spell Trump casts over his true believers. Ryan Lubin at The Independent says Trump's disapproval rating has surged to an all-time high of 58.3%. That's even worse than his prior low right after the January 6th insurrection. Trump's war of adventure in Iran has gas prices spiked over 50%. Essential grocery costs continue to skyrocket. 76% of Americans are now convinced that the economy is bad and getting worse ahead of the midterms. Bad news for the country, potential good news for the Democrats. There has been little room left in the GOP campaign narrative for the Republican boogeyman of the day. Since demonizing Latino immigrants has fallen a bit out of vogue, the old standby Islamophobia has made a big comeback this year, and in these final days, the full slate of GOP hopefuls have been all in on that. Tyler Hicks at The Guardian says Ken Paxton has shifted his ad campaign to accuse Cornyn of facilitating Muslim mass immigration, while Cornyn has countered by hyping up new legislation to combat the completely imaginary threat of Sharia law ruling over America. It's still several months to November, and we can certainly look for a rise in hate crimes against our Muslim neighbors if this rhetoric continues past the primary, which seems likely, with Governor Greg Abbott very much on board and very much setting the tone for the rest of the Republican lineup. The far-right base is driving the state Republican apparatus towards its most extreme elements and tendencies, which raises both the risk and the potential for reward in November for Texas Democrats in the form of a wide-open lane to build inclusive coalitions that defend the diversity that makes our state great, and to stand up for our vulnerable neighbors and against state-sponsored bigotry. This November's midterm election is shaping up as a referendum on who we are as a people in the Lone Star State. At Progress Texas, we're proud to march with you into this profound opportunity to very publicly reject the politics of fear, opting instead to embrace the unity that springs from our differences and our common cause as Texans. Exciting times ahead for sure. We're gearing up for our 16th anniversary celebration in Dallas. We want you to save the date. That's Tuesday, June 16th, 3 weeks from today. See the link in the show notes to reserve your spot. Our good friends Howard Cleon, Charles Zeller, Alex Andrade, the Honorable Dick Levine, Nancy Sanders, Mark Melton, Sarah Peretta and Jason Smith, the Honorable Allison Grinter Allen, the Honorable Donna Howard, Dave Jones, the Northeast Travis County Democrats, the Honorable Bill Peterson, the Honorable Adam M. Swartz, the Texas Progressive Caucus, Mark Yagdjian, John Adair, Louis Bedford IV, Jasmine Flores, Julie Evans, the Lake Travis Democrats, Jenny Laughlin, the Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, the Honorable Jeremy Sutka, Texas Blue Media, and Mike Ware are all on board and supporting our 16th anniversary party. We appreciate all of you very, very much. Our live events are a major way we keep doing what we do, and by sponsoring and attending, you're helping Progress Texas continue our important work during this crucial election year. Learn how to support and join us live at ProgressTexas.org. While you're at the website, grab the merch to match your values at our web store. It's ready for you now with newly released Humans Against Abbott, Y'all Means All, and Resist shirts, stickers, and buttons. Hit the web store at ProgressTexas.org to support your favorite podcast network today. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Links to all of these original stories can be found in our show notes. When lies in Texas are well funded by the far right, your support for fact-based reporting is needed and appreciated. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day and a great week. Happy voting. Get it done today, and we'll see you again here with results tomorrow morning.